following is a paid program. The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WNBU and Interbanks Media. Welcome to All Things Money with David Blain, a thoughtful and revealing discussion of actionable ideas and effective strategies to help you through the complex world of investing, taxes, and real estate. Now, with All Things Money, here's David Blain.
Hello and welcome to All Things Money. I'm your host, David Blain. Thank you for joining us today on 94.1 FM WNBU, as well as cable TV 10 in New Bern, North Carolina. Many of you also may be streaming or listening to us through the web from our website, www.dlblain.com. We welcome you as well. We thank Bob Register, who's doing the engineering for us as always today. We've got a good show for you lined up. Talk a little bit about looking at the gloom and doom that's out there. One of the things that I think is important, or actually before we do, let's give out the phone number, 252-633-0107. If you have any comments or questions on the show, please let us know. We love to hear from our viewers and listeners. A lot of the ideas for our show topics come from you. So we've got the phone number. You can also email us. The email is allthingsmoney@dlblain.com. And of course, you can visit us at the website. There's a big Contact Us button when you go there, dlblain.com. And you can get a hold of us through my firm's website there. Okay, so there's a lot of negativity out in the world today. And one of the things that I've noticed, there's a lot of, in fact, President Obama yesterday was at a ceremony or something during that awful shooting in D.C. yesterday about the, not commemoration, but about the financial crisis, the anniversary of the financial crisis, that we've just gone over 5 years, since the height of the financial crisis. And so there's a lot of looking back and a lot of, studying and things like that. And one of the things that I think an important takeaway of that is maybe not 5 years ago, but certainly 4.5 years ago, when people were still panicking, things like that, it's been a tremendous time the past 4 to 5 years to be an investor. And I see people that come in my office sometimes, and they're still in cash, and they're waiting to get back in the market, which of course we would have advised them never to try to time that and get out, develop a portfolio that is reasonably expected to be within their tolerance at all times. But that's for another day. Let's just say, so people come in and they're waiting for, a time to reinvest. Or we have clients that sometimes they'll see something in the newspaper or hear something on TV, and they'll say, do you think we should get out? A really sad story. Earlier this year, we had a client that was very nervous, and we spent a lot of time developing a portfolio that would have served him very well for many, many years. And at the first sniff of interest rates going up, he wanted to sell everything. He wanted to sell his bonds. And then, oh, by the way, at the same time, he wanted to sell all his stocks. And the end result is he ended up selling his entire portfolio in one day. And of course, as always, the next several months have been good, very good returns for a diversified portfolio. We see even the bond market, interest rates on the 10-year Treasury spiked above 3% a couple weeks ago, and now they've started drifting back down again. And so this notion of this gloom and doom, I think, that permeates society. I don't live overseas. I don't live in Europe. I don't live there, so I don't know what goes on there. But I get a sense that, from reading, the UK papers and some of the pronouncements by the Eurozone leaders and Japanese and things like that, I get a sense that some of this pervades, across the world. And I would say that even more so than the news, just humanity, the way people tend to look at things, I would assume that it's much the same. And so I wanted to talk today a little bit about how, number one, if you can change your thinking and be a little bit more optimistic, there's just tremendous opportunity out there, and that the people that end up financially successful at the end of the day generally have a positive outlook on life. I mean, let's face it, if you're investing, you have a fundamental belief in human nature moving forward. You have a fundamental belief, at least in the United States, of free markets work. You know, you certainly have people on the left side of that political spectrum, and people on the right side may have a different definition, but, you know, George Soros, who's a very, you know, supports a lot of liberal, left-leaning organizations, he's a big investor. You know, so wherever you fall on the spectrum, to be an investor, you have to have some sort of, you know, basic belief in the free economy, things like that, and the society moving forward. And I just see a lot of negativism today and people losing faith sort of in humanity at all. And part of it is because the human brain tends to amplify the negative aspects that are out there rather than the opportunities. It's kind of the way it's hardwired, you know, is to react to danger and escape danger, and not always necessarily look at opportunity. And so the prevailing effect today is that the world is this dangerous place that's sliding downhill at an alarming rate. And if we don't see the disastrous consequences from the federal debt, the inflation rate, rising from dramatic increases in the monetary supply, and European sovereign debt crisis will eventually, you know, contaminate the whole U.S. system. And we see, you know, if we don't understand that global warming is going to, you know, flood all of our coastal cities, and there's no way out in a world, you know, and we need all these wind farms to take up the slack from oil, things like that, that, you know, taxes are overbearing, the economy's a mess, you know, that the economy's going to be wrecked, and the American empire is in decline. I mean, these are all things that you hear regularly. Now, there's some element of truth in all of those. I'm not disputing that. But taken collectively as a whole, and to just become downtrodden and gloomy day after day and to see no opportunity is a huge, huge mistake. And I would postulate that it's possible that the entire landscape out there is not quite so gloomy. Yes, we have issues, and yes, there are problems, but there are also people working on solutions. These issues have happened in the past. And so, to me, one of the most important things you can do as an investor, and once again, this is about, you know, all things money, investing and money, and one of the most important things you can do to help yourself is to cultivate a positive attitude and an ability to see beyond the headlines and ignore the persistent downbeat of the media. Well, that's all the time we have for the first segment. When we come back, we'll continue talking about this sort of psychological side of investing.